This is the current project I'm working on. I'm looking at making an acrylic top plate to fit on our movement so that I can shoot video to show you exactly what happens when the count lever is lifted. You'll be able to see the count wheel turning, the count lever riding along the top of those segments there. You'll be able to see the maintenance cam turning round and the lever resting on the top of this section here, not falling into a hole. You'll be able to see the warning wheel spinning until such times as the count lever drops into the next hole, and then everything stops working on the strike side. I was hoping to have it finished for today, but it's not there yet. I've got to put some bushings in it to firm up some of these pieces, because loose wheels like that are what stops the clock, and it's obviously not working in this condition. So anyway, that's what that is. I hope to have that finished relatively soon so that we can have a look at that. But in the meantime, we've got to get our movement put back together again. So I'll remove the Perspex top and we'll get back to putting the movement back together. Right, we're going to start putting the movement back together again now. The first thing I'll do, I'll take a piece of masking tape and put it over the top of the count lever. Once we've put it into a deep hole, that will hold it in place so it won't move. You can also use blue tack or Rodico if you have some, so that will hold it there. I'll retain most of the pieces that I'll put in here. I'll take those out, the warning wheel, and I'll take out those two pieces so we can see what we're up to. Alright, first thing we've got to do, as we saw the other day, is put the count lever in a deep hole in the count wheel. Next thing we do, we've got to put this lever here in that hole there on the maintenance cam. So we align that so that goes there. We'll put the warning wheel and the fly in later on. They need to be adjusted relative to where the other pieces are. We'll put this piece in with its brass lever on, which goes there. We need to push the lever back a little bit so that when we put the minute arbor, which is this piece here, when we put that in, the minute wheel in, the minute arbor, the pin at the base rests on that lever. Right, that'll do us for the strike side at the moment. Now we'll head off back to the time side. We'll put the great wheel in first. Okay. The loop end is over the pillar. We'll push it down so that we can get the other end of the winding arbor. There we go. Into the back plate. And we'll put the hammer lever moved over a little bit. Right, we'll put the hammer lever in a moment. That won't particularly be a problem. Alright, first wheel sits there. Second wheel on the time side sits there. You remember before we were using some blue tack to hold the wheels in place. I'll put some of that back on again. Hold that side in there, down in there. T3 goes in there. That's got that. Turn the movement round. Now we'll look at putting the hammer lever in. It slides up into there, just in behind it's actually, oh no, it's still there, it's right. We'll find that's where it goes, right. We've got to put the cannon pipe on and the hour wheel. They go over there. Now we can put the top plate on. Position it over the cannon pipe, the two winding arbors, and lower it down. And adjust the plate over the two posts at the bottom of the top plate. Yep, I think that's got it. Okay. That's better. Now, we'll put a nut on that post there. Once we get it unthreaded, we will. Try another one. That's just to hold the two plates together while we're putting the pivots into the bushes. We don't want it moving around and popping open and all our wheels dropping out of the movement again. Second one. Nut on the pillar, wind it down a little bit, and there we have it. Right, we can now start aligning pivots and bushes. When doing this, you start at the bottom of the plates and then work up the train on either side, alternating from one side to the other. And we'll put, before we go any further, we'll put the escape wheel in. We should be able to get it in here. If not, we'll have to take the plate off again. Nope, I'll have to take the plate off and we'll redo that. Slowly working our way up the plates. Getting the wheels in. Align the posts, the pillars. They're a little bit, I think the plate's a tiny bit bent. There's a little bit of movement there. Get the hammer in. It's got the hammer there. Get the escape wheel pivot into its bush down there. It's got him. You'll note these big slabs of white tack that I've got. It's very, very tough. In actual fact, you only need small pieces like I've got up here holding the escape wheel in place, but it's very tough and very hard to pull little pieces off. I suppose you should really just cut it and roll it up in a little ball. You only need a piece about half the size of that in actual fact, but it's pretty tough and it comes off in big chunks, so that's what I'm using at the moment. Alright, we've got the count lever in a deep slot on the count wheel there, and I've put some masking tape over to hold it in place. On the maintenance cam here, you can see the pin is over the slot. So what we have to do now is put the warning wheel in with that pin there resting on the face of that lever there. So I'll undo the nut on that pillar, give us a little bit more room, Have a look and see where the pin is. Get it aligned just on the outside of that pin. Then lift the plate up a tiny little bit. Align the pivot into the bush, hopefully without removing too many other pivots out of bushes. There he goes. Now, hold it with your finger and press that pivot lightly, lift the plate, whoop, there it goes, it slides in, and then align it. And I think we've lost, we have. Have to bring the maintenance cam back a tiny little bit. It's popped out of his pivot. Push it back, that's getting closer. And make sure that that's got him, he's in place. The warning wheel's in place. Now the J-hook has moved, as these things tend to do. Hold that down, check the other ones, make sure they're all in place. Yep, they're right. Now I'll put the fly in. I'll take that nut off. The fly is relatively easy to align. Usually has a long pivot on the top, which we'll put in first. Then lift the plate up. And slide the bottom in. Just about got him. Move it back a tiny bit. That looks like it's about right finally. Alright. Take these big wads of white tack off. Now we can check that we've got everything in properly. Time side moving. Take the piece of masking tape off. Make sure we've got the slide bending and bring it up a bit. That's better. Moving more freely. Now, two more things to do yet before we finish. The first one is the spring on the hammer, which goes into there and wraps around the back plate there. A bit tight. I'll get a pair of pliers on that. Might be a bit easier to hold it than with a pair of tweezers. See what we got. Pull the end out. Not very easy to flick it out. There we go. That's got him. As the hammer strikes, it's then returned to its original position. Now we've got to do the same with that spring there. If we can, there we go. That spring there on the count lever. Nope, not right yet. It's not returning when we flick it, so we'll have to take that spring super fine and pretty hard to see that it is, down around the other side of the plate. If I can bend that through a little bit and get a grip on it, which I had and I've now lost. Oh, where's it gone? Those nuts are tight enough to hold everything there. Actually, I'll tighten them down just before we do this so we don't lose anything. That end. And that guy down there. Right, now back to our spring. I'll put a torch on it for a minute and see where it is. Alright, it's just about there. So, torch again. That's it there. We'll push that down. See if that'll hold it tight enough. Yep. Turn the torch off. And I flick the count lever. You can see it being returned to its original position. So that means that the spring is working correctly. All right. Well, the movement's all back in one piece. That's the spring from the lift lever there. We're now ready to put the crutch with the pallets on top and the suspension spring on. So we'll drop the suspension spring in through the hole in the crutch first. That's going to go on that post there. I'll leave that for the moment because first up we put the pallets on that post. Here we go. Put that little lever across which will hold that into place so that it doesn't fall off. Back down a little bit further. It's a little bit high there. That's got him. Now, suspension spring in through that tiny little gap there. Pull him down. There we go. That's got him. Now you can see the escape wheel turning. That will eventually have a pendulum bob on the end of that. All right. That's the end of that for the moment. If you want to learn how to service, repair and restore 19th and 20th century mechanical clocks, then subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell.